Will Zack Snyder's Justice League live up to the hype? I feel like this is a rather complicated and loaded question where a yes or no answer would simply not be enough, and this is why I'm making this video to address this question in the right way. And I feel like when it comes to just movies and art in general, expectations are key, and I would like to start off with a personal story of mine. As last summer, in the summer of 2020, a little game called Ghost of Tsushima came out. And at the time, I have finished my university courses. I had the summer. I was trying to land an internship. And unfortunately, due to the quarantine and the virus, I could not land any jobs whatsoever. So I was stuck at home while waiting for this game to be released. And when the game came out, I finally got my hands on it. I finished the game. I even platinumed the game. I really enjoyed my time with the game, but there was this little thing in my mind that I felt like I expected too much from not just this game, but from a game in general. And I have arrived at the conclusion that although the game was a very good game, my expectations towards it were unfair because I thought that this game would change my life for the better. And I had to take a step back and realize something that Zack Snyder has been telling us for quite a while, or he has been relaying Joseph Campbell's message and mythology's message as a whole, is that all the gods, all the heavens, all the hells are within us, and only we can make our lives better. Now, with that little story of the way, first off, I would like to qualify the audiences of Zack Snyder's Justice League into two distinct categories. The first category would be the hardcore audiences. Now, audiences like that would be the people who campaigned and fought for the cut for 3 or 3.5 years, starting with that little petition or just chiming in to use the hashtag or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It just basically means that you supported the movement. And people who supported Zack and his films in any possible way, that of course meaning to campaign, or just talking about his films in general and discussing and talking about his art and what it means, making hopefully positive content about his stuff, and just marketing the movie for just friends and family, again discussing his movies or reading the source material, being a comic book reader. Not necessarily Detective Comics or DC Comics, but it could even be Marvel Dark Horse Comics. It really doesn't matter. Or people who actually follow the movement throughout the years and know what the movement was actually about, so they are much more informed than the ignorant and just dumbfounded media and insiders in general. And the second category would be the casual audiences, who basically just watch movies for entertainment purposes, and they are interested in high budget blockbuster films like Marvel or Star Wars movies or DC films. They are interested in seeing superhero or comic book movies, or they are just interested in DC characters in general, most notably Batman and Superman. And I feel like when it comes to the hardcore audiences, the expectations are so much different than when it comes to casual audiences in general, because you have to keep in mind that the hardcore audiences who were not just aware of his cut of the movie or aware of his movies, but have actually petitioned and campaigned for the cut throughout 3 years non-stop, even though a lot of shit was thrown at them, to be perfectly honest. It was a really tough time to be a DC fan in general. But for them, the expectations, I feel like, are something along those lines of just seeing and experiencing the whole thing as a moving image. As tons and tons of teases throughout the years on Vero came from mainly Zack Snyder himself, with images of Darkseid here and there, images of Flash, images of Batman, images of Star Labs, and things that we did not see in the Justice League version of this movie back in 2017 that he wanted for us to see. Even though he has shared literally not hundreds but a ton of images on Vero, it still amounts to if you piece the pictures together, it amounts to 2 minutes of footage basically, and none of them was even moving footage, just random pictures. One of the biggest expectations for fans is to finally finally witness Zack Snyder's vision and art. Not necessarily the movie itself, but just the experience of seeing and witnessing the movie that we were not supposed to get. And it's going to be a cathartic feeling, just finally able to see this moving, this motion picture in front of us. Ever since everything was going against his original vision for the Justice League movie or the Superman arc, as the studio and certain individuals inside Warner Brothers were not really in favor of him doing his original vision. But despite everything that has happened throughout the years and the lies that came from those ignorant and just basically dumb media and insiders, here we are, and now those hardcore fans can finally witness this thing. And just seeing how the whole thing plays out, as Zack has teased a lot of things here and there, and I have to give props to Zack Snyder for just having the best possible teasing skill ever seen from a mainstream director. He literally shares snippets and things from his movies that you can't piece the movie together with, but they're so cool in a sense that it makes you think like, wow, how could this play out? And just seeing these characters that we have loved throughout Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and grown attached to, seeing these characters take a step further down their character arcs or their hero's journey is going to be so insanely satisfying for the hardcore fans. And just seeing not the character arcs but the story's continuation from both Man of Steel and BVS, as I mentioned before, it was taken from the fans, even though the studio was adamant at the time that the 2017 version was Zack Snyder's vision, even though that was a complete and utter lie. And anybody who saw the film knew that it was a lie, but they still did it anyway. And just hearing the soundtrack for the film, which continues and which improves upon the themes from Man of Steel and BVS, and just propelling the characters forward and just giving us new tunes as well, as we are going to have distinct themes for the new characters as well, like Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, and potentially one or two green guys, who knows. Well, when it comes to casual audiences, I feel like that the expectations are wildly different. And here they go. I feel like that the main expectation for the layman is that seeing an entertaining and engaging adventure with a tone and epicness akin to the previous films, that being Man of Steel and BVS, or something akin to Lord of the Rings or the George Lucas Star Wars films, especially when it comes to the production value, accompanied with jaw-dropping battle sequences, as that's what people pick out the most about Zack Snyder's films, is the fact that he tops every one of his insane set-piece battle sequences from every movie. And just seeing a high-budget or high-production value film akin to the Avengers movies or the Star Wars films on a streaming platform, that being HBO Max, of course. And another expectation for them would be to seeing chapter 3 of a 5-chapter story and just realizing that, wow, there is still a lot more to come in the story, and it was always meant to be one story, not as many people make it out to be, that there was no plan at all. And just seeing lots of new and returning characters as well from the previous movies, while there are going to be a lot of surprising faces in this one. And another rather important expectation for the casual audience would be to seeing something new and original on a truly grand scale. And what I mean by that is basically the history lesson, which is going to be something akin to Lord of the Rings, as in scope. And when it comes to something new and original, I also feel like that I have to bring up the apocalyptic design. If you look at the design of Steppenwolf, for example, it is going to be insanely interesting to see that technology. And even when you look at the Saw, this is something that you have not seen before, not even in the comic books. So this is a completely new iteration of that people, basically, and their armors and their lore. And hearing the epic and unique soundtrack from Junkie XL or Tom Halkenberg, who audiences may know or may have heard from Mad Max Fury Road, Deadpool, and Alita Battle Angel. And I feel like that, especially the track from Alita Battle Angel, Tamed Motorball, is really going to give you this vibe, which should set up what the soundtrack is going to be like for Zack Snyder's Justice League, accompanied by the Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman sound as well. And I feel like there are a few expectations for both of these audiences that everybody should be aware of, is that it is not necessarily going to change the world, although I firmly believe that it can, because art can heal. And it already did when you think about AFSP and the fans raising $500,000 for suicide prevention. That is just insane. But to just continue my argument, people should not expect this thing to be the best thing since sliced bread, as a lot of people hype themselves up to oblivion. And when they realize that, it's just a movie, they will leave the theater disappointed. But as I mentioned before, this is art. And this is not necessarily the second coming of Christ, although the more I think about it, maybe this was not the best choice of words, but anyway. But the most important expectation that audiences have to keep in mind is that this is a Zack Snyder film, true and true. No compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. And Zack Snyder movies are thought-provoking and taxing films. And even if you are somebody who's not really into that sort of thing, I feel like that this movie is, or just any movie in general, is always worth a shot, because you might find something that you inherently like about the film, like certain characters, certain locations, certain soundtracks. And maybe if you find to love a certain character, you may check on Twitter to see if there is something trending about that certain character as well. You never know. Thank you for watching this video, but what do you guys think about the expectations leading up to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and which category do you feel like you fall into? You are either a hardcore fan or a casual fan. What do you expect from the movie? Be sure to follow me on Twitter, as I will be posting a lot more there as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember to keep it insightful.